Hey guys, we are on the couch today. Y'all already know what this means. It's time for the first Couch Conversations episode in 2025. This one is going to be all about my pop and Meemaw. Let's talk. So it is Friday, January 24th, and today would have been my grandparents' wedding anniversary. And I wanted this episode to be all about them and dedicated to them because you guys know, like, they are my heart, my world, and just our relationship that we had was irreplaceable and just so amazing. My pop and Meemaw are my dad's parents. And if you've been here a while, you know I'm my parents' only child, which also means that on my dad's side, I am the only grandchild. So I figured, since a lot of my recent vlogs have been holiday related from November up until, mid-January now, that I'd give an update as far as life after loss, since I haven't touched on it in a hot minute. I was surprised that I didn't mention it in my 2024 recap that I did on New Year's Eve. So I'm just throwing it in here now, just being in a new year. And it's been better than I expected, especially for 2024. March 22nd, 2024 made a full complete year since Pop passed away, which also made the first year without both grandparents. The first year is always the roller coaster. The first year of first without someone, especially a grandparent, is like an emotional roller coaster. To my surprise, I've actually been doing so much better than expected. And I look at myself and like who I am now versus how I imagined my mental state and emotional state, and it's completely different, but in a good way. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't miss Pop and Meemaw. I have thought of them every single day since they have passed away, and they're everywhere that I look, whether if it's in the jewelry I wear or in the sky or just routine of life itself. Like, their memory is always present. And I brought you guys along the extensive journey of the first year of life after loss, with both grandparents, but more so Pop, because that's really all I could think about at the time. And I know y'all hate to see me coming, talking about Pop every single vlog for a couple months straight after he passed away. But my heart was just shattered. Like, I was his princess. And so he was my hero. And so this was like my platform, like outlet, and somewhat still is, right now. But yeah, when you've spent your whole life with such influential and important people like your grandparents, it is really hard to imagine life without them because they've always been there, like up until that point in your life. And so when you actually hit the reality of doing life without them, it causes you to feel lost because now you're figuring out, how can life still go on? And your world is like shattered into pieces. Seeing the love that my grandparents had for each other was beyond beautiful, and filled with such longevity and consistency. I watched Pop treat Meemaw like a queen. Meemaw was a simple person, especially when it came to holidays and like Christmas and her birthday and all that stuff, which her birthday and Christmas are 2 weeks apart. And like their anniversary, like for her, a simple dinner out or a card or, those are the things that did it for her. And so he made sure that she got what she wanted and made sure that her nails were done and all that stuff and got a massage. So yeah, I find myself like Meemaw in that regard, just as to like being grateful for the simple things and just liking to look good. So I watched Pop treat Meemaw like a queen. But on the other hand, I saw Meemaw's sacrifice. She spent, her last several years of life before she got really sick, actually taking care of Pop. And I saw, the exhaustion and the late nights, and she stuck by Pop's side until, she got sick herself and couldn't do it anymore. And so my parents and I took on that role of caring for both of them at the same time, which was very chaotic. And then she passed away, and then we were taking care of Pop. When Meemaw passed away, I was 12. Yes, I was 12 years old, and it was a hard stage because it's like I'm still a kid, but about to enter into being a teenager. And so it just changed a lot of things for me personally. It changed the family dynamic, as you would expect death to do. I saw a different kind of Pop. I saw a different version of him after Mima passed away, and that was one of the hardest things about it. I had the privilege of watching a small piece of their marriage. It was a true testament to the vow of in sickness and in health, for sure. I remember my Pop and I, we would have conversations about the future and life after him leaving this earth. And these conversations were hard to have just because we all, like the whole family, like we all knew that the end was near. And so now when it comes to the conversations about money or inherited possessions, it's emotional because it's like, I remember having those conversations with Pop and thinking that we wouldn't have to have those talks until like much later. And now it's like I'm sitting in that reality. That's why when my parents and I would go to the bank, I would just get so overstimulated that I could not listen anymore, because it's just like, it just makes everything seem so much more final. A year, almost 2 years later, there are some times where the grief waves hit harder than others. And in those extreme emotional moments, it's usually followed by me crying for God too. Like, let me be with them. Sometimes those grief waves and seasons are like a day, a week, or over a period of time on given days. Like even last month on December 11th, which is Mima's birthday, it hit me so hard. I was not expecting to have such an emotional day, or evening rather, because for the past several years since, I feel like I've been fine. December 11th, 2024 was on a Wednesday, and I had been fine the whole day, literally the entire day. I went to school, felt great. Came home, we're good. Went to church, okay, we're good. And then all of a sudden, somehow after church, Mom said we needed to go to Walmart. And we ended up in the card section, like the greeting cards. And I'm just minding my own business, and I look at my phone, and then I look up and I turn around, and there's a 75th birthday card, like just right in front of me. Like it has a circle, like a balloon, and then it has 75 in it. And I just start bawling in the middle of the aisle, because that's how old Mima would have turned. So yeah, December 11th last year was an absolute wreck, and it hadn't been in several years. And I don't know what happened. Like, it was just, I tend to miss my grandparents when it's a birthday or a death anniversary, or whenever something wrong happens in my life, because I used to tell them about everything going on in my life. So like moments of like friendship breakups, or hard moments with my parents, or even in school and academic life, like those are the moments when I miss them the most, because I can't run to them and tell them what's going on in my heart and in my mind. I took you guys along a very hard journey in the first half of December last month. I was shaken and in a state of working through betrayal, confusion, anger, a whole plethora of emotions, questioning myself. If you know, you know. One of the hardest things, in addition to all of those emotions, is that I was not like able to tell Pop. Like I couldn't tell him. And even when things would go wrong in my life and I didn't tell Pop or Mima, like just their presence alone did something for me that made me forget about, or just put my mind at ease, whatever I was going through. And that's why I think going to the cemetery now is just peaceful for me. Like, yes, it's emotional, but it is just that closeness. It's something that makes my heart beat normal. Like, it's my time to feel as close to me and them as I possibly can without their existence. The cemetery where my grandparents were buried is just so beautiful, and it's not crowded. And when I'm at their grave, like, it's so peaceful. Like, it's clean and it's well kept, and it's a more secluded area, meaning that people can't see you because there's also a lot of trees like near the entrance when you first drive in. And that is very, very nice, especially living in a small city where everybody knows everybody. And my grandparents were pastors. And so I did somewhat, in a way, have to share them, although I was their only grandchild. So I always consider going to the cemetery as being able to have my moment with them, and just without people being nosy, which is amazing. In addition to this whole life after loss journey, it's also my senior year, and we, as in Pop Pop, Meemaw, and I, had conversations about, them being here to witness this very monumental moment of my life and walking the stage at graduation. And that has honestly been one of the hardest parts about just, this journey, especially being in 2025 now and being in graduation year. Meemaw passed away the summer after my 6th grade year. And that was like my first year of middle school, June 16th, 2019. Pop Pop passed away at the beginning of the 4th 9 weeks of my sophomore year, March 22nd, 2023, the week after my spring break. And every time that I think about how close he was, it disturbs me. Pop Pop was very adamant about making sure that 2024 and 2025 were two of the best years of my life. And I will say 2024 was amazing. I was not expecting 2024 to be as good as it was, especially without my missing pieces, which of course are Meemaw and Pop Pop. But the way that 2024 that was good. And even though Pop Pop has been gone, even in 2024, he left surprises. Because he just knew, he was not playing. But Pop Pop wanted to throw me an 18th birthday party, a graduation party this year, and all these things. And so turning 18 was amazing. I will say turning 18, my 18th birthday is one of my favorite birthdays ever. And it was basically one of the top highlights of my 2024. But in the back of my mind, it was just this feeling of something missing. Okay, I've had the most amazing birthday photo shoot, and then birthday weekend with my parents and my siblings, and birthday dinner and all this stuff. But it was just something is missing. My grandparents were my biggest fans, two of my loudest cheerleaders. They never missed a moment. I find myself sometimes in situations and doing things that my grandparents would have done in those situations. And it just helps me get through whatever I'm going through in life and whatever I'm being challenged with. I am beyond blessed that I got to be their granddaughter. That's one of the top, biggest, most favorite, important honors of my life. My most important titles, of course, first, Christian. But beyond that, daughter, granddaughter, goddaughter, niece, aunt, sister, that's it. That's all. Thank you guys so much for letting me share my heart today about my loves in heaven and just this life after loss journey, especially entering into a new year in 2025. Their love is one of longevity and commitment, and I hope to have that in my life in the future one day. I love you guys so much. Have an incredible weekend, and I'll see you next week.